Welcome back, dear participants and experts here with us in Milano and virtually connected through our platform. Welcome back to our UNECE Bocconi joint event, Accelerating Action for the Sustainable and Circular Garment and Footwear Industry of the Future. So here for our concluding session of the 3 days workshop, and we are very excited to have this session whose objective is to give a demo, a practical demo of our blockchain system. We will look at the features, the functionalities of the system through demos for the cotton and leather pilots, together with our partners and blockchain actors, and with the blockchain system developer, the SUPSI University. So I give now the floor to Andrea Redaelli, UNECE project team, and Claudia Di Bernardino that will drive us through the session. Claudia, Andrea, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Maria Teresa. So, welcome in this afternoon in this time zone, and good morning, especially in the Latin America area, because we have connected with us also Ingrid, who will be speaking with us in the next moments of the session. Up to you, Claudia, to present our speakers for this session.
Thank you very much, Andrea. So today you're going to join this session Giacomo Poretti and Luca Ambrosini from the SUPSI team. They are the one that develop actually the blockchain platform. So welcome Giacomo and welcome Luca. Liliana Fuenemoyer, founder and CEO of a transparent company. Thank you for joining us today. Ingrid Zabaleta is the Regional Executive Assistant of Cotton Project at the FAO, Regional Officer in Latin American and the Caribbean, that is joined with us virtually. So
let's move deeper into this session. Yes. As announced by Maria Teresa, in this session we are going really to navigate in the blockchain solution. I mean, Luca and Giacomo will drive us there, looking at what are the screenshots, the fields, exactly what the industry, what we have discussed this morning and received as experience by the industry this morning will be exactly replicated by Giacomo and Luca, showing us how the platform looks like and how to work in this blockchain platform. Before to jump on that, let me take the pointer first and then start to introduce to you what are the main functionalities that have been developed at this stage in this version of the blockchain platform. Why I underline this version? Because we said this is the first pilot, the cotton one. More has to come. There will be a leather pilot, synthetic, other materials. And our idea, our plan is step by step, pilot by pilot, to include more and more functionalities. Not least, definitely, what was also the request of the industry by including an automatic interface and direct data exchange in order to reduce the effort and the manual workload of the people. Let's see quickly now in this overview, in this chart, go through what are the most important functionalities that we aimed to define in the requirements to have in the final platform at this stage. First of all, register. The platform has to act, has to work as a register, of course in a decentralized environment, as a register where to collect all the most important data and information. The second characteristic requirement we had was the immutability of the data. Data cannot be changed. There is a decision, there is an exchange, there is a statement in terms of information in this data content, and exactly there is the point. A blockchain system, a DLT system technology helps us really to make the data immutable, so resistant, time resistant. The third characteristic that we have implemented is the validation of the data. Sometimes we hear people saying garbage in, garbage out. For us, it was important to avoid this garbage in by implementing a concept of validation. Was already mentioned today and in the past days by Claudia, by the other colleagues. There is a validation concept at different levels, starting from a self-declaration, moving till a third-party validation. The validation concept to assure the data in the platform was very important for us, and this was implemented. This will be also shown by Luca and Giacomo as it appears at the moment in the platform. The fourth aspect, very important for us, was a multi-claim platform. Not only to have a claim related to the origin or a chemical or a characteristic of the fibers and so on, but in particular was important for us to offer an open platform, open to accept any kind of claim and working in a smart way. I mean, to reduce the workload of the people. That's also why one of our future aims is exactly to include also an automatic data exchange of data. The last but not least part was related to privacy and security. This was, since the first step, a dilemma. How to be in an environment where we distribute the data, but at the same time we protect the data. We protect the confidentiality of the data, and this was exactly the implementation of these different levels of disclosures, and Claudia will show us a little bit more in this direction. With these requirements in mind, we moved then to define the goals for the platform in order to be in compliance with the expectation of the program, of the TT program. And here the goals are summarized. First of all, to enhance, to support the traceability and transparency and due diligence for companies. The second one was to offer a chance to source more sustainable materials with this sustainability concept in mind in terms of materials, but also partners who are working in the platform, in the value chain, in the focus of the project. And last but not least, the concept of the risk was already discussed, already presented, the concept of the risk. It's important to really understand that it cannot be avoided, the risk, but at least we can take decisions being informed about the risk and the impact of this risk. When looking at the value chain via the view offered by the blockchain, by the platform, we have seen something this morning, and we will see more a bit later. There we have exactly the point. We can take risk in an informed decision way. This is very, very important. Now, with these first aspects, requirements, and goals in our mind, let's move then to what I have announced, how the data privacy was handled, managed in the platform. Claudia, would you be so kind and tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, thank you, Andrea. So we received this morning, thanks, that a blockchain-based traceability system like the one that we develop offer a cutting-edge way to deliver transparent sustainability message at B2B and B2C level. And it allows to support the reliability and credibility of sustainability claims. So the access to sustainability data through the blockchain allows consumer to see the impact of a product, to evaluate the brand accordingly, and also can empower consumer and can empower business to sustainable consumption and production. I would like to mention in this exact moment, because we never mentioned that during these 3 days, that there is a European Union data strategy and a European Union blockchain strategy that was recently launched, and they recognize this technology as particularly relevant in the context of a fair, green, and sustainable post-COVID recovery, exactly because can boost the exchange of sustainability-related information between all actors along the value chain. But since there is a use and a sharing of data between different stakeholders, there are important data protection perspectives to be taken into consideration, important issues. Data rights are vulnerable in this context. And so it is fundamental to address privacy and confidentialities. And this involves carefully transparency consideration of which data are collected, how data are acquired, used, and shared. Because from a business point of view, companies may not want to disclose all actors in their supply chain or share information with other competitors. And this is why in our pilot, we also develop different levels of supply chain visibility. And we're going to see that in the platform later on today. So from a regulatory point of view, there are also strict data privacy legislation that requires specific rules to protect personal data, such, for instance, individual farmer data and consumers' data. So the right to privacy, we need to say that actually doesn't apply only in the physical world, it does apply in the digital world as well. And so it is essential to find this trade-off between privacy and transparency and data confidentiality to ensure ethical also implementation of blockchain project, avoid negative outcomes, and again, build trust among all stakeholders. And this is particularly relevant. And this is exactly what we've done in the pilot. So we have faced this challenge and we turned it into an opportunity, actually. So we did a data protection design. We implemented a data protection design process. What does it mean? That we address these privacy issues related to the data before testing and implementing our blockchain application in order really to create a blockchain solution that respects the fundamental principle of data protection. So first of all, we look at what type of data we needed for the project in order to explore different privacy by design solution that could be used to create a more privacy-friendly application. And so we identify through a privacy impact assessment all the potential issues, the possible solution for mitigating compliance risk, and we calibrate our blockchain solution on the outcome of a risk assessment. And here where we arrive at this privacy by design solution that we will see exactly in the platform, where we're going to show the platform to the audience. But I wanted to point it out that it is very important to consider data privacy risk at the very beginning and an early stage, exactly as we did in our project. We focus on data privacy and confidentiality. It is important to have a data protection impact assessment and to develop the best solution in terms of privacy. And that means that the solution that we adopted was the best considering what we had, the data we had to deal with. It's not the best. There are other privacy by design solution technique. It is important to find the right solution for that specific blockchain application. And I will give you back the floor, Andrea, and I believe we will introduce now the demo, the use case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I have it.
You have it, okay.
Thank you very much, Claudia. Okay, here at the stage now moves to Luca and
yes.
Giacomo. Giacomo is connected online. Luca here in present. Hi, Giacomo. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone.
Perfect. So I do suggest now that exactly Luca and Giacomo can start to drive us through the first steps into the platform, into the demo use case you have prepared for us to better understand how the blockchain, first of all, looks like and the entire concept works in the blockchain platform.
So, hello, thank you, Andrea, thank you, UNECE, thank you, Maria Teresa, for the organization of this event. So we are here actually to finally see in detail the result of this journey after 1 year of work in difficult pandemic time. Our first main task was to implement a model enabling to manage everything you heard in previous presentation, where the main challenge has been to solve the complexity of the different business requirements, the different standards, the different claims, the different kind of partner, etc. Everything for us was different. So at the beginning, the objective has been to define a common understanding of all these different aspects. And after this first step, the next step has been to define a tool to share and store information in a standardized way and to make everything visible and clear to all supply chain stakeholders. So next slide, please. Okay, here we are. So how we manage, previous one. Okay, so how we manage all this? This has been said several times in these days. The most important challenge is to share information. We build an information system enabling to register and share events, to trace the history of location and condition in which products were produced, and concerning transparency, register relevant information, being made available, certificate and assessment results, making claims confirmed with evidence. Very important has been to find a common definition and a common understanding of all the different aspects, the different claim, as I said before, the different claim, the different standard, the different process. And the simplest way to enable the registration of events we did, exploiting already existing information data, paper documents, invoices, purchase order or transport document, and concerning transparency, certificates. At the end, what we did in the blockchain is to automatically link all these different collected documents, not inside a centralized and controlled environment, but inside the blockchain. But not just register and share document, but always confirmed and validated by the different involved partners in a business-to-business transaction, where we see in a small example, once a partner registers a document, there is always a notification to the counterparty that need to check and confirm and validate the information. And once the information has been validated by the two involved partners, the information is stored as invariant inside the blockchain. So next slide, please. So now we jump directly to the end result of the system. So you already saw some example of this representation in the morning. And the critical aspect here has been to find a practical and clear way to communicate to public, customer, and stakeholders all the different peculiarities concerning traceability and transparency inside a unique user interface. We see on the left the different sustainability criteria, the different claims. We have the origin, the chemicals, the product quality, the fiber content, etc. In the middle, we have a graphical representation of the supply chain, where we see some nodes representing companies, factory profiles. We see lines connecting the different nodes representing trades and shipment transaction between different partners. And interacting with nodes and lines, we can enter in detail about the company behind the node, the name of the company, the address, the location. We see the process inside the company, and the specification of a specific company and process, and we see the details about the collected certificates within processes or companies, so that the user can navigate in a dynamic way, analyzing a specific selected claim. We go to the next slide, please. The same occurs interacted with lines, where, as I said, a line represents a trade transaction between two companies, but trade transactions are not single transaction. We have contracts, order, and a multitude of different similar shipping. So here, again, interacting with the line, we can look and analyze all the different shipping document and related certificate to every single transaction. So to the next slide, please. Okay. And what you also notice in the graph that we have a different color for the different nodes and the different lines. What represent colors? So as we said, every claim is linked to different one or more reference standard. Every node is also linked to a specific process and a specific transformation, where every transformation is defined also by one or more standards. So once the node, every single reference standard behind the node is made evident by a specific certification already registered in the system, the node is represented in green. So we have the confirmation of a valid transaction behind this process. And if the node is represented in red, something is missing, and what is missing? A specific certificate. A company define a process claiming to be compliant for a specific claim, but a specific certificate is still missing in the system. So this is the way we found to make evident to users navigating in this supply chain representation, to make a quick reference to the elements that are missing a specific evidence of a specific claim. So to the next slide, please. So here is a resume of all the different aspects behind the user interface that you can access navigating with mouse over a browser-based solution in the different aspects of a unique or a specific supply chain. We have to the left the different claims. We have in the middle the navigation of the graph of the selected claim. We have in the third column the detail of a selected element in the graph, and at the end you can open and download and look inside a specific certificate uploaded inside a specific process, transformation, or transaction. So the result is that within a unique user interface, user can navigate up to the lowest level of detail of every single element in the supply chain. So accessing all these detailed information for a user, as Claudia said, it's very interesting for sure, but behind open privacy and confidentiality issues and problems that need to be solved in an easy and practical way. So we will enter in detail about how we solve the privacy and confidentiality issue in the next intervention with Luca. And I suppose in the next slide we have the first poll for you in the room.
Giacomo, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you it seems complicated because maybe you see it for the first time, but definitely it's not. As soon as you open the platform, you have the data in your hands to upload in the platform. It's very easy to see your value chain being populated, looking at there with the colors, with the meaningful colors, to see what's happening there and follow up where you need to create more transparency on the blind spots of your value chain. You're right, Giacomo. We have now the poll, the first poll for this afternoon, and let's move to that. Okay, the first poll is dedicated about the using of the blockchain. Question for you, audience, is here in the room and online, is as a company that aims to improve traceability and transparency of its supply chain, would you use a blockchain? Yes, absolutely. Yes, but I would need to understand more first. No, it's too early to adopt blockchain. No, never. And I don't know what blockchain is at the moment. So clear question, clear answers up to you now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, to give us your answers and your preferences. Thank you very much. In the next phase, in the next part of this afternoon session, we are going now to navigate a bit more on the data privacy and confidentiality part. Claudia, would you be so kind then to start this part together with us and also our tech guys?
Of course, thank you, Andrea. Okay, so requirements of blockchain privacy reservation. So these were the legal remarks where we start from. So what we wanted to achieve was confidentiality, unlinkability, anonymity, efficiency, and fairness. Well, that's mean that we had the need for the transaction content to not be accessed by an authorized entity. When we talk about unlinkability, we talk about the fact that the parties cannot distinguish the particular individual from a set of real identities. When we talk about anonymity, we talk about the necessity, the need for the user that require that the transaction related to himself cannot be linked. And then efficiency means that there has to be efficiency in communication, in computation, and in storage. And then fairness, because it's the interest of either party to not be damaged, of course, in the blockchain transaction. So basically, once again, we're dealing with data. When with data are involved, there are privacy requirements to consider to be compliant with. So again, privacy impact assessment, our privacy impact assessment was our starting point to understand the potential issues and then develop with the technical provider, with SUPSI, the solution, the privacy by design solution for avoiding risk in order to not have any privacy problem. And here, let's see which is the privacy by design solution that we wanted to adopt. Once again, I would like just to mention that the approach that we develop is the encrypted approach. So all information encrypted for a specific party are stored in the blockchain. That means that encrypted information can be seen by everyone, but can be understood only by the permitted party. And the permissions are enforced through encryption. So at the end, we evaluated with the SUPSI team, with Luca, with Giacomo, all possible solutions. And we implemented various mitigation strategies to protect transaction and other data, and especially confidential information, and adopted this encrypted approach to comply with data protection rules. Luca will now go more into details and explain to us how the encryption actually works within the blockchain platform. You want me to move? No, you do it. Okay.
Thanks, Claudia, for the stage. So allow me to define the challenge we were posed first. We want to use a blockchain, which is a permissionless system. It is decentralized, so anyone can see anything. We are in the most open system ever. This is great for traceability. This is also great for transparency. But of course, this poses a lot of privacy challenges. Whenever we are interacting with a blockchain, we don't use our real identity. So if I use a blockchain, I'm not Luca Ambrosini. What I receive is a pseudonym, which means a very long number that you can see on my slide that represents me on the blockchain. Allow me to define 0x Mario. But usually people, when they use a blockchain and they receive this pseudonym, they say, okay, it's good. I have my privacy. I'm anonymous. Actually, you are really not, because if I interact with the blockchain 2 times, people can see it was me doing a specific action. Now let's try to imagine that I give you all my banking history, all my credit cards, offering everything from forever, from when I was born to today. Since the blockchain is a register when nothing gets deleted, so you know everything about me. You don't know who I am, but you can go through my whole history. At the end, it's very, very easy to spot who I am. So just by receiving a pseudonym, we didn't get any privacy. Every time we are appending an information to the blockchain, so we are adding data to it, writing, we are disclosing that it's actually me doing something. On the other side, since it is a permissionless system, anyone can read at any time. This means that whenever we are reading, we are good. We are not leaking any data or any privacy. And given from these 2 constraints, we came up with a system to create the privacy on top. The system is based on encryption. Encryption means it's like if I'm in this room and I speak a language that I am the one only that knows. It's the same technology that protects you whenever you're accessing your e-banking. What we use is public key encryption, which means that I encrypt the information in such a way that only the specific party which is intended for will be able to read it. So every information in our system goes to the blockchain, and everyone can just see a bunch of zeros and one, but they don't make any sense for anyone. Just the receiving party, looking at the private space in the blockchain, will be able to read the information. In this way, when someone adds information, we don't know who the information is for, and nothing else can see, not just the sender, but not the information as well. If we use an example, a supply chain in which we have a farmer, then a giner, and then a spinner, what happens in the platform, just automatically in the browser of the person using the interface, is that the giner knows who the spinner is, because they do business together. So they also know the identity, also the pseudonym that they use in the blockchain. So what we do is to encrypt the information. So the giner encrypts the information for the spinner, and it puts it into the blockchain. So the spinner at some point will be able to look at it and to find exact information communicated for him in an immutable and persistent manner. So no one else will be able to delete the information, and no one else will be able to decipher the information and see what they are communicating either. This also means that the GINER, let's say that they don't work with just a spinner, but they work with 2 spinners or 3 spinners. What they can do is to put different information with different visibility levels to disclose different type of information to different parties. This allows us to communicate information in a public scenario, but without revealing identities. But on the other side, we have the drawback that we're putting the data many times. So we are using a little bit, it's less space efficient from a technological point of view. So now we are on the reader side. We are the spinner. We are going on the blockchain. What we see is that we know who the GINER is, so we know when to go into the blockchain to see the information that have been encrypted for us. And given that we are the recipient, we are able to read it. So for us, it's clear information. We received everything, even though it's in a public scenario. We have seen before that we can see where information came from, since the writer is public, but we are reading, so we are anonymous. No one will ever know that the GINER did business with the spinner, apart from the GINER and the spinner. Also, what I want to highlight here is that there is no communication between the farmer and the spinner. I always mention the GINER and the spinner. This means that it's the duty of the GINER to also encrypt the information about the past. So it is the GINER who is deciding how much information he wants to disclose to the following party, and so on, and so on, and so on. In such a way, every member of the supply chain is able to reduce the amount of information and has always access only to the information we want him to know. So in this way, the blockchain is perfectly decentralized. We don't control the infrastructure. Anyone potentially could join the system and become a party of it, but no one gets to know any information. And through encryption, we can decide which visibility level. So I am the one. I am the only one, not the platform, to decide which information I bring forward in my supply chain. I give the stage to Claudia back.
Yes, thank you. You're touching an important point. That is the one that relates to disclosure level. So supply chain data visibility. As you were saying, the user is in charge. Is in charge and can decide what and to whom he wants to disclose information. So the platform allows to have different data disclosure levels. And it is possible for the business partner, for the users of the platform, to choose the level of data disclosure desired. We provided 5 levels of disclosure. The platform allows for 5 levels of disclosure that we're going to see in a minute more in details. And once again, this identification of disclosure levels always refer to the B2B and the B2C level, because we know that we have these 2 different layers that we could take into consideration. Now, first of all, the data disclosure levels that relate to traceability information. You may know already now what we mean for traceability information. We divided the evidences to support the claims within the pilot in traceability and transparency information. So information that relates to transport documents, basically invoice and other kind of documents to prove the traceability of the traceable assets. So in this case, when we talk about traceability information, the minimum data that can be disclosed is the country. Then there is another level of disclosure that is the one that relates to the region or province. And then it is possible also to go for an highest level of traceability data disclosure, that is the company, it's related to the disclosure of the company name and address. And this is, of course, is the more highest and more reliable, let's say, level of disclosure that we would like to achieve. And then the data disclosure levels can also relate to transparency information. So that type of evidence, such as the certificates, for instance, or audit reports, laboratory tests, that kind of information that relates to sustainability data. Now here are the 2 more levels of disclosure. It is possible to upload in the platform the certificate and show just the name of the certificate or the name of the report type in case it's an audit report, for instance, or a laboratory report. Or it is possible to disclose the certificate itself. So to provide for a copy of the certificate or the assessment or the report. And this, again, it's the highest level of transparency data disclosure that we would like to achieve. Here you can see a summary of the 5 levels of disclosure that that the blockchain platform, the UNECE blockchain platform provide. The minimum disclosure level, it's the country. So it's the country of origin, that's the minimum. And then of course, the best would be to have all of these levels covered. We're gonna see that actually in the platform in a minute. We're gonna see an example together with Giacomo. But now, discussing about disclosure level, we would like to ask you something on disclosure because it's a very important topic. And so I'm gonna launch this poll now. And then later on, Giacomo will help us to visualize how the disclosure level works in the BC platform. So poll number 2, to achieve transparency, which is the level of disclosure that companies should establish? Option number 1, sharing account of conduct. Option number 2, disclosing at least the country of origin. That is our minimum data required. Option number 3, disclosing traceability information from the raw material stage of the supply chain. And option number 4, disclosing all sustainability-related information to allow consumers to make more responsible choices. I would like you to think about a little on this question, also the audience that is not with us today. So take a few seconds and...
Let me say, Claudia, I'm very curious about this answer.
Me too.
Because the level of disclosure is, let me say, something very important for companies making business and so on. I would like to see after these 3 days what is the reaction and how ready are the companies now to move to the next step on TT programs.
Yeah, and to be transparent, 100% transparent. Okay, so I'm gonna now leave the floor again to Giacomo and Luca to move on in their use case demo. So,
Giacomo, are you still with us?
Yes, here I am. You can go ahead in the slide, please.
Good.
So as Andrea said before, theory is complex, but what we try to achieve is to make things simple for the user. Now, go back 1 slide, please. One more back. So you are missing 1 slide I have in my template. Okay, so go ahead in 1 slide so I can. Okay, let's start from here. So the core of the system is the material and process definition that are the tasks that companies do inside the company in the transformation phase. They buy or they get material from the supplier, they transform the material, producing something new, they go from raw material to products, so to be ready to ship the output of a transformation to the next partner in the supply chain. So this definition of this transformation definition require few but very important information. So we can give a name to the transformation. We can define the process types. It is a list of standard process type We have to list 1 or more reference standard we claim to be compliant with. Could be GOTS, could be a recycle standard, could be origin. So, and then we define the traceability level and transparency level, so the visibility level of the information we want to disclose to the next partner. Here, through the 5 different values that Claudia explained, we can choose which information concerning my supplier I want to give, I want to disclose to the next supplier. So here companies can decide that within a shipping towards the buyer of a final product, they can hide information related to the supplier. So could be the name of the farmer, could be the address of the farmer, or could be the certificate delivered by farmers at the origin. So at the end, this is complex to manage, but very easy to insert in the system, because at the end we just need 5 different information in the definition of this information. Then for sure we have the input material, can be a single material or a list of input material with the different rates in compliance with the mass balance supply chain principle of the supply chain. Here we can, for example, disclose, and we will see a very interesting example in a couple of minutes, the percentage of different cotton types, maybe one organic and one recycled, so to disclose to the next suppliers the specific origin of the different kind of material within a specific fabric. So we can go ahead one slide, please. Okay, so we start from the transformation definition. That is the first type of information. Now we jump in the second type. You missed. So this, okay, keep this slide. This is the slide I was looking for at the beginning. It is the example of a different traceability or the different visibility level of the same supply chain. We have on the left the supply chain represented with name and address of the different organization, and we have on the right the same supply chain after the specification of a different visibility level, where we have within the same supply chain, we have only the country of origin without the names of the specific partners and organization in the supply chain. So in the middle, there is the window representing the field where user can define this different information, managing the different representation of the supply chain, that is the different disclosure of information to the next partner in the supply chain of a specific partner. So can go ahead one slide, please. Okay, this is the second type of information we can register and share in the system, that is trade information. Once a company sells a specific material to a buyer, what is needed is the upload of a copy for a document, could be an invoice or a bill of lading, the document type, the name of the buyer, and the list of the shipped material. So the list of the output material of a specific and defined transformation. So here again, the input in the system is very simple because everything is already written in the physical document. So the user just need to upload the document with few information needed to the system to link this piece of paper to all other elements in the blockchain. We can jump in the next slide, please. Okay, the same occurs for certification. Certification parties deliver certificates to companies, so they upload in the system a copy of the certificate. They choose the name of the organization that has been certified. They link the copy of the certificate to a specific reference standard. And they just need to add the validity time of the specific certificate. So we had transformation definition, we had trade definition, and we had certification registration. And with these three simple operations, different users in the complete supply chain complete the link of information, enabling us to represent graphically all the information behind the long story of from raw material to final and finished products. We can go ahead. Okay. Okay, this is maybe the most and more important achievement of our project. We could test the model with real companies, with their user. In the case, you already saw this supply chain in the morning. We implemented a recycled diamond supply chain from Vivian Westwood. We have in the middle the graph of the supply chain. We have two nodes at the same level in the top of the graph. That is, we represent in this way the merging or the blending of different kind of material in a unique fabric. So here we represented the one origin cotton with recycled cotton blended together and going down up to the final brand with all related certificates to the different reference standards. This supply chain involves 7 business partners with information uploaded from 15 different users, going from farmer to final customer in United Kingdom. So we can go, so the next slide, please. So here again with the same supply chain, where concerning fiber content, so concerning recycled material and use of chemicals, we demonstrate the compliance of the supply chains against a different claim, in the case against the use of chemicals, with access to the specific certificate validating the claim of the final brand. So can go ahead, one slide, please. So here the same supply chain against a different claim, in the case the fiber content, where we see the certification of the recycled cotton inside the product that has been built in this supply chain. Next slide, please. So this is what has been introduced this morning. This is the most maybe difficult task we had to solve, was to include in the pilot the management of the physical traceability of the product. But because just document don't demonstrate the origin, because don't demonstrate the type of material that has been shipped from one partner to another. Here, thanks to DNA markers, the company at the beginning of the supply chain disclosed through a self-assessment that a specific batch of cotton has been sprayed with a DNA marker. The cotton flows down in the supply chain up to the final brand that can send back the fabric to Elixa, that check that inside the material, the DNA sprayed at the beginning of the supply chain is still present. Once this third-party certification from Elixa is uploaded into the system and the DNA marker from Elixa is the same as the DNA marker ID self-assessed by, in the case, by Filmar, so all nodes of the supply chain are disclosed in green, disclosing to users that also the origin is made evident and confirmed by the third-party certification of Elixa, that at the end doesn't know anything about the supply chain. They just tell to the system the DNA marker that they check with their analysis system. So, and this maybe is the best and more complex way to demonstrate the origin of the cotton in the complete supply chain. And okay, for the next step, I give the floor to Luca, so that there are, for sure, there are the API integration in the system, but up to now, everything has to made evident manually. But I give the stage to Luca to enter in detail about these next points.
Thanks, Giacomo. So what we have seen today is an application that you can access from your browser. It means you don't have to install anything. You can exit from your mobile or from your laptop, which means that anyone should be able to use the system. We have talked about blockchain, but as you've seen in the interface, there is no blockchain-specific logic, so you don't have to install a wallet or complicated software. This was created with the aim to allow anyone, from a farmer to the retail user, to access the application at any moment with any device, to be very democratic about that. But also we've seen that there are a lot of forms, so a lot of information that needs to be manually entered into the system by the user. This is perfect for a farmer that has to insert 2 or 3 times the items, but it's obviously complicated for a lot of the big brands that have to insert thousands of items. So what we have created is an API, which is the standard way for companies to integrate with our system. They will have to develop a module for their own ERP that they already have to also push this, the data inside our system, drastically reducing the effort of integrating it. The system is already API enabled. Then, today we spoke about blockchain. Our application is currently deployed on what is called the Ethereum testnet, which means a public blockchain out in the woods, completely decentralized, but it's a testnet, which means that it doesn't have any economic value on it. For us, it was free to use, so it was great, but it's also not intended for any production environment. Moving on with the project, we will have 2 options. The first one would be to deploy on a private blockchain, which means that we will develop a system between the business partners and people that will run a, let me define, standard infrastructure in which someone pays for the servers, and the interest party will sign a contract and use the blockchain. So we pay for the infrastructure in advance to build the blockchain network. The second option, which is the one we are really pursuing in the project, is to use of a public blockchain, but one with economic costs, which means that for every transaction we have seen in the interface before, we will have to pay. Not a lot, a few cents, but there is some economic involvement. The system is already ready to specify a different payee, which means that it's not going to be the farmer that has to pay, but it's a business question. Technically, it's solved, but we have to decide who is going to pay for all the traceability information, because a decentralized infrastructure means that there is someone else in the world that we don't know of that is running the nodes of the blockchain, and we are paying them to have the information stored in a decentralized manner. So costs, pay per use, and we'll have to decide which pays these costs. Anyway, for a whole supply chain, the costs should be below €5, and just a few cents for each data insertion into the system. Then, the last point of my presentation is that what we have seen up to now is a system that allows us to enter information and to store them in an immutable manner. But nothing was really cotton related, so it's going to be easy in the future to improve the system and to also enable the use for other type of supply chain tracking. And we hope that's what's going to happen.
Thank you very much, Giacomo. Thank you very much, Luca. Pretty clear. We have seen then what is this blockchain, what is this platform as per today. We see that we need to go ahead by improving, by adding new functionalities. So something more has to come. There is also an open discussion about the cost. Also this morning we have heard from Gediminas from Helixa mentioning the fact that there are some costs on traceability and transparency. Where to put this cost? All these aspects at the moment are in our discussion, in our, let's say, journey, in our learning in this journey. And this will be important, I mean, to put at the table of the discussion with all the stakeholders of a value chain. Of course, we are now at the first step. I mean, we have implemented something for the cotton. We have heard that more will come. Please keep in mind that this is a progressive approach. We do something, we learn, and in the following step, we do something better. We improve it until when we will reach a very good level to offer to the industry a very stable and robust solution. That's the idea. With this in mind, I would move then to the next step. Oh, the pointer doesn't help me. Okay. Pardon, here. We have the poll, just to complete the phase related to the blockchain part, the technical platform, and showing how it works. Claudia, what is the content of this poll?
It's about trust. Once again, sir, poll 3, industry consortium. Would you trust a blockchain operated by an industry consortium to store your supply chain data? Option 1, yes, definitely. Option 2, yes, but it depends on the member of the consortium. Option number 3, no, I would prefer a public blockchain. Option number 4, I do not know the difference between a private and a public blockchain. And option number 5, I don't know what is a blockchain.
So, dear audience,
take
up
your
to
time
you.
for answer the
Few seconds to decide. 5, 4, 3.
2, 1, 0.
Okay, let's move to the next step. Thank you for your answers. As next step today, we would like to show you another use case. We say that we have some results in this cotton pilot. Something more has to come because some partners are still working in the cotton pilot, and at the same time we are launching the leather. So we will see something in terms of transition. Where are we at the moment? What is the status of the pilots at the moment? And that's why I would like to invite Ingrid Zabaleta from South America to tell us something about the Peruvian value chain that we are implementing in our cotton use case. Ingrid, are you with us?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hello, Ingrid. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you and good afternoon to all of you. Good morning to all the participants from the Latin American and the Caribbean countries that are following the event. Ingrid Zabaleta from the FAO Regional Office of Latin America, and I'm going to introduce you to our experience of the cotton pilot in Peru that have the participation of family farmers and also the textile company with the articulation of the Plus Cotton project. Next, please. So, the Plus Cotton project is a trilateral South-South cooperation initiative that is implemented by the Brazilian government through the Brazilian Cooperation Agency, the FAO, and 7 partner countries. And this is very relevant because we have the participation of a net around 100 public and private institutions that support us and support our work on the field. And we are focused on one hand and the promotion of actions to improve the environmental, the social and economic impact of the cotton production by the family farming. And in the other hand, we are working to generate opportunities to improve management, decision-making process and market capabilities by family farming, all this supporting also the linkage of the value chain in the region. So we have like 9 years of experience strengthening the capacities in the countries, and this is very important to implement our pilot. So in the next slide, I would like to introduce what are who are the partners in this pilot. There are 3 main partners. So we have in the productive link the Costage Cooperative that is located in Piura. This is in the north of the Peru. And this cooperative supports around 5,200 families. They are producing high quality hand-ground, GMO-free and extra long staple cotton in 2 varieties, conventional and sustainable. And for sustainable, we have the real certification. Also, we have in the cotton transformation of the fiber, the participation of Creditex, that is the biggest supplier for extra long fiber yarns in Peru. And it's also working with a lot of several international brands, as you can see here. And in the middle, we have the Plus Cotton project that is the articulator of the blockchain initiative in Peru and is the partner of UNECE at the region. So we are working with around this number of farmers and with this net that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. And in the next slide, we can have a detail of how is working the scheme for the Peruvian cotton blockchain. we can see that Costach is providing support for the process of planting, cultivation, and the cotton harvest. And Credites is working with industrial processes such as ginning, spinning, dyeing, bleaching, weaving, and the final production of garment. And in this case, we have a very interesting result. We will have a collection of garments that will feature fiber to garment certification. As you can see here, we have the OECOTEX certification and the WRAP certification, that is the World Responsible Accredited Production. So with this general frame of how we are working with the pilot, I would like to go to the next slide and explain what are our opportunities and challenge. And first, I want to start mention that this is the first initiative of cotton blockchain technology in Latin America region, and this is very important to us to have the traceability from the fiber to the garment and to position the Latin American cotton in the world. Second, we are talking about how we can add in value, and this is very relevant in the region. We have that around 80% of the producers are family farming productions in Latin America. And we have the possibility to add with ISG criteria, sustainability criteria, and cotton certification measures to have a more inclusive business in the cotton sector. Also, we have the opportunity to position the Peruvian cotton differentiation. And we have elements such as the climate conditions and also the local varieties. And this is very important, very relevant, because we have the long and extra long fiber cotton with a lot of tolerance to water stress and other conditions. And finally, we have we rescued the center of the origin and diversity of colored cotton. And our main challenge is the sustainability of the pilot, because we are working with the identification of more demand of more clients and designers interested in a slow fashion and a sustainable fashion industry, and also to generate more cooperation possibilities that allow us to maintain or provide, for example, the technologies. So finally, I just like to say that this pilot represents a window for a better linkage of the value chain in Latin America, and also is an opportunity for scale good practices of the value chains, but also to build the trust of the clients and the consumer through traceability and transparency. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'll be pleased to answer any further contact for more information about the pilot.
Thank you, Ingrid.
Thank you very much, Ingrid. I have to say that I'm very proud to collaborate with you and the entire team in Latin America. First of all, because we are the first blockchain pilot together with you there in the region, but then more because we can really put on the ground an inclusive project where we consider the brands, but we are really able to catch the farmers, so the entire value chain together, and thanks to you and your activities in the region. This use case is still ongoing. I mean, we had this morning some forerunners showing their experience. Together with Ingrid, we have also other use cases still running. That's why we will show these results in the next event when we will move to the next regions worldwide about the cotton, but also about the leather. Another point that remains open from the cotton and will be explored in the next weeks is also the role of the organization of the certifier bodies. That's why I'm really proud to invite here on the stage Neliana to tell us a bit more about the role of the organization, in particular the organization you are presenting at the moment. The stage to you, Neliana.
Thank you so much, Andrea, and thank you, everybody. I'm super happy to be here and see 3 days of a lot of advancement on implementing, designing blockchain solutions for increasing transparency and traceability in our industry, and a big congrats to the whole UNECE team for taking us all here. I pulled out this slide that I've been traveling with for the past 5 years, and it's quite relevant to where we are today. My vision for transparency started in 2013, but it was only in 2016 when I came across blockchain, and my background is in fashion design, and I decided to put design on hold and redesign supply chains and look at how this technology can actually help fashion supply chains, which are very complex, fragmented as we know, into one that is more open, it's traceable, it's transparent, and essentially brings trust. So my journey has come from design to looking at how can I help design solutions. And this is where a transparent company, my consultancy based in London, has focused on to introduce this concept of blockchain in fashion and answer the questions of the benefits and the challenges that this technology represents. And this is where ZDHC, who is the organization I've been representing during this project with the UNECE, it's interested and curious on how can multi-stakeholder initiatives be part of this ecosystem, and how can the signatory brands that they represent take part of this, in particular to chemical traceability, and how can blockchain connect all these very complex ecosystems of different types of certifications and reports, and to have a seamless supply chain where data is secure, is auditable, immutable, how Andrea was saying, and of course, shared. Our vision is to connect physical journeys to digital verified stories, and we've been talking a lot these days about how the consumer can tap into this information, and what information is that consumers are interested in knowing. I think the polls right now are going to define a lot of that. What levels of transparency are we looking at as consumers? So as part of the work with ZDHC, I have been looking at how can a multi-stakeholder ledger could become a reality. And this is where the UNECE project is so relevant for our industry, because you guys are creating a solution that it's being tested, it's being iterated in different types of supply chains, as we've seen in cotton and now in leather. And how is this going to create a universal source of truth, a single point of trust amongst all of the actors that are both looking at social impact, environmental impact, governance, of course, and investment. It's very important to talk about financial sustainability, which is something that we've been hearing a lot during this past 3 days. So what we're doing now, and what we want to focus now that the first pilot has been finalized and we've seen the results, it's in terms of chemical traceability. How can we move from facility performance to product performance? And how can, for example, we pull out the specific and relevant information of a specific production step? So for example, we're looking at a chemical recipe. So how can we use this technology to highlight those data points that are relevant to a specific actor? And I think that is going to lead on how consumers can actually filter the information that they care about, because ultimately we're all consumers here.
Yes.
And we all have our values, and we care about a specific topic, whether it's vegan or organic or fair trade. So how can, in the future, we can use the systems that help us filter information that we want to know at the moment of purchase? And just last but not least, talking about the moment of purchase of products, I think this is where the supply chain comes to life. And this is where we all have the responsibility as consumers to prolong that life into an infinite product cycle, where circularity is definitely super important for us to define how we're going to then, from product, make sure the blockchain also help us in the post-consumer for recycling, reselling, renting, and really, truly closing that loop. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to make a very quick comment, Andrea, on the importance of tracing chemicals. Yesterday we had a poll and Maria Teresa comment on the fact that the result was all into the climate change. And probably you want to, we discussed this already together, because actually chemicals, the social aspect, as Maria Teresa was mentioning, but also tracing chemicals is fundamental. And now this is something that, for instance, the European Union institutions are putting in place initiative. There is this chemical strategy for sustainability that where there is a huge need urgent need of tracing chemicals, also through blockchain. This is seen as a key instrument, key tool to do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Neliana, really for your input. As mentioned, then there is still something to do in the technical platform, in the already running use cases and working groups, like in the case of Ingrid has showed us. There is more to do with the involvement of the organization and the certifier bodies who are working and collaborating with us. What are then the next steps? First of all, to complete this part, but then to launch, and we are exactly at this stage, to launch and run the next pilot, which is the leather pilot. The pilot about the leather material and the leather industry. Here we have already launched this pilot in May by onboarding the first brands, the first suppliers. So from a geographical point of view, this is at the current stage the scope of the geographical, from a geographical perspective, of the content of the leather pilot at the moment. As the timeline for this pilot goes until the first quarter of 2022, there is still room for you to jump in, to be onboarded by us, and to follow up the activities of the pilot. So don't be shy and come to us to prove that this concept is working. As roles we have seen and we assign in the pilot, there are different roles. Starting from the gap analysis between the cotton and the leather, because the platform was initially designed for the cotton, but having already in mind an easy extension to the other materials, we have identified a working group that is exactly focusing on this gap, if any. The second role we see, a second group of people, are exactly in the role of the project partners. They are actively working directly into the project. And we have also a role of people, experts, advisors who are working to support the project and the achievements of the projects. And the last, but definitely not least, group we have identified are the partners who are validating the information. So with this in mind, we have also assigned different roles in the leather pilot. In terms of timeline, as mentioned, we have started the planning phase early in 2021, in January, and we expect to complete the pilot by the end of the first quarter 2022 with all the activities. And as you can see in this chart, at the moment, despite any, let's say, COVID pandemic situation and so on, we are in a pretty good status because we are, from a time perspective, online with the initial expectation. This timeline was prepared in March, as you can see. So I'm very proud also to say that we are definitely online and on a good point also for the leather. Saying that, here the current status. The onboarding was completed, but again, don't be shy. We still have time and room to onboard new partners. The preparation and data collection has started and is going on, and the training will be performed quite soon, the first training for the leather partners, and then the upload of the data in the blockchain platform, and then showing next year the first results of this approach. With this in mind, now I'm very curious, Claudia. What happened with the poll?
We'll see.
Let's see what is the result. Okay, the first poll was, as a company that aims to improve traceability and transparency of its supply chain, would you use a blockchain? How open are you to open the blockchain?
Oh, fantastic. They are open, but they need to understand more first. So 46% of the audience replied that it is open to the possibility of improving transparency and traceability using blockchain technology, but they need more. So we need more training, basically. Also, we need to provide more.
I think it's great because if we count is something like 84% says yes.
Yes,
I want to go ahead with this kind of technology, and I'm ready for that. Might be with additional need to better understand. The second poll was
to achieve transparency, which is the level of disclosure the company should establish. Let's see if companies are ready for transparency. They are. Actually, they are. So 68% of the audience replied that it's important to disclose all sustainability-related information to allow consumers to make more responsible choices.
And the last one, Claudia?
And the last one, would you trust a blockchain operated by an industry consortium to store your supply chain data? And the answer is no. For the 46% of person, yes, no, I would prefer public blockchain. So between a private and a public blockchain, the majority thinks that a public blockchain will be probably more safe, I would say. But there is also 30% that think that it depends really on the member of the consortium.
So this is
it's interesting. No, please go ahead.
Yeah, this is great in my opinion because it opens for a discussion where to put the governance of such kind of consortium and the holding, the management of the data and this kind of platforms.
Yeah, the governance framework will be key actually.
And this will be definitely one of the topics in our agenda for the next pilots. I see that we have received also a question from the audience, from Bettina, asking what about subsidies for small and mid companies for new technologies from the European community, I assume?
And this is a great question because, of course, one of the challenges to have small and medium enterprises on board. So it is really important that SMEs are involved and come on board at this type of project, of course. So there are subsidies from the European Union. Actually, there is a lot of focus right now at the European level as well on SMEs. So, but of course, it is fundamental that on one side, the small actors, SMEs, and also we have discussed in other sessions about vulnerable groups, these actors need to be involved, and we need to find a way to have them really on board and provide a blockchain solution that fit all and leave no one behind, as Maria Teresa started this 3 days saying that. So I think, yes. So
let me add, Claudia, that this project, this program is exactly incentivated, I mean, financed by the United Nations. So it's the first sign that the institutions believe that something more has to be done. So we can prove via projects like that that we can create something concrete and again in a progressive way by showing results, asking for more investment. Neliana has mentioned in her introduction presentation that the financial part is also important to be considered. That's why, yes, with the first results, more and more can really come. What also Maria Teresa said about the extension of the pilot, it's already showing us that there is interest and willingness to invest in this direction.
Yes, and SMEs are definitely a focus of this UNECE project.
Yeah. So, thank you to all at the moment.
Yes,
it seems we have no more questions. So, Maria Teresa, if you want to join us here on the stage, Francesca.
Yes, and thank you, Luca, Giacomo, and
Neliana and Ingrid.
Yes, for the session. Thank you very much.
All right.
Stage to you, Francesca.
Thank you so much. So we arrived at the end.
Thank you.